number 24. Who do we have next?
We have the player that went to Philadelphia to replace this player. Who Josh Richardson went to Philadelphia to replace this player. We have at number 24, we have JJ Reddick. Seems very low for a player that he's done exactly what he's been asked his whole career, and he's somehow undervalued, even though he's the most consistent three-point threat in this league over the last decade.
Yeah, I mean, JJ Reddick is one of my personal favorites, so I couldn't agree more that 24 is obviously low for him. I believe I had him a couple of spots higher, but it just goes to speak to how good, how deep the position really is. Like you said, he's arguably, or not even arguably, potentially the most consistent three-point shooter over the last decade, and last year just shows it again. 45% on 6.6 attempts. It's a guy who's always shooting above 40%. He's always getting over 15 points per game, even as he gets older. Last year, again, 15.3 points, 16th among shooting guards. Yeah, of course, on the offensive end is where he's more gifted, but it's also a guy who I feel is very good at being a leader, bringing locker rooms together, actually having real discussions with coaches and management and doing it in a proper way. I feel like he brings a lot of value to teams on both on and off the court, and his play in terms of being a top 25 player still at the shooting guard position, I think speaks for itself.
Oh, definitely, and he's definitely worthy of being up there, right? Like you're talking about how great of a year he had this year. Um, we I feel like we've always considered him a top 15 shooting guard in this league because he does everything he does very, very well. He gets open. He is the best in the league at just running around and getting himself open, whether it be by going through screens, whether it be by going around by just he just brings a lot of hustle to that position, even though he's not exactly an athletically gifted player as some of the other players in this league are. He somehow makes it so that he gets his points, he gets his shots. He had actually his second most efficient year of his career last year, and that's on a team that, for what they are, New Orleans is a great team. They didn't exactly have the star players like he played with whenever he was with Blake Griffin. Um, but he still had JJ's finding ways as he gets older to make just as much of an impact. His defensively, he's getting a little bit slower, but he does have one of the higher IQs in the league. He's always in the right spots at the right time. I think JJ is going to keep putting up these kind of years until he decides to not play basketball anymore,
Yeah,
which might not be for a long time.
yeah, I mean, clearly still enjoys the game of basketball. Great podcast as well. If anyone hasn't seen it, definitely check it out. But also, yeah, like you said, just a super smart player. The little things you mentioned on the offensive end just speaks volumes to how efficient he's able to be. Because, like you said, not only the most efficient year in terms of three-point percentage, but he was second in true shooting percentage for all shooting guards of guys who played at least 20 minutes per game. So that alone, again, speaks to how efficient he is. He was also fourth for shooting guards that we qualified, an offensive real plus minus. So it's a guy who, on the offensive end, he does nothing wrong. Sure, he's a decent passer. He's not going to move the ball around crazy, but in terms of just being a catch and shoot guy and being able to get open for that catch and shoot, I don't know if there's anyone really better than JJ Reddick.
To me, I look at someone like just someone like Matt Thomas with Toronto, and he molds his game so much similar to JJ. The fact that he might not be the player that everyone thinks it would be the ideal star in the league, but the fact that if he's able to hustle enough on offense, and he'll get those open shots because other people just won't be able to keep up throughout the whole game. And once he does get that ball in the right spot, tries to get the ball off as quick as possible and shoots very efficiently. But I think that someone like Thomas, if he ends up being a player, even 3/4 of the player that JJ was or JJ is, then he's going to have a very productive and long NBA career because JJ just is the perfect mold for what he does best.
Yeah, and I mean, Matt Thomas, I believe, was one of the guys who played under 20 minutes per game, but was actually above JJ Reddick in true shooting percentage. So, like you said, if he is able to keep that up, definitely similar mold. We'll see what a guy like Thomas could do, but
JJ's really deserving of the 24th spot.
Absolutely, not to take away from it at all. JJ Reddick still in the top 25. I, in my hope to see him again next year. And as mentioned, one of my favorite players that I've seen in the 2000s era. Loved him in college. Love him still
Oh,
now.
you keep talking about him in college.
So yeah, so one of my favorite college players ever, hands down. It's definitely, I didn't realize how hated he was in college, which makes it even funner to hear about nowadays. But again, JJ Reddick, 24, here we have you. But moving on, who do we